So let me say once again, hello and welcome. I am your humble lead artist, Betsy Luntau, and today we are going to draw Sven. I'm not going to draw Olaf, just Sven. And we're going to begin with the tip of his nose here. That's going to be near the edge of your paper so that, there's nothing else on this side. So we can just draw the tip of his nose very close to the edge of the paper, or if you want to be safe a little bit from the edge of the paper, I'll show you the edge of my paper so you can see where I'm putting it. Easy little line. Make my camera a little darker so you can see better. Nope, that's not better. Maybe I'll just have to draw darker. Gosh, I usually don't like drawing darker because I tell you guys so often to draw lightly. Doesn't make sense if I'm telling you one thing and doing another thing, but you also need to be able to see what I'm doing. So I will try my best to get this lighting situation under control. That was the sound of my light. That's a little better. All right, so we've got top of his little nose. We're gonna stick his lip out. Deer and horses have those great big flexible lips so they can gather up all the grass and stuff that they eat. So we're gonna poke out that lip. We'll zoom in a little closer so you can see better. And autofocus might take a second. And we are going to continue that lip into a great big smile. How far do we go over? Well, there's the top of his nose. That's that line that we did right there. So we got to go beyond that. So I go keep going, keep going, keep going. But if you draw lightly, you can always change it later. Next, we're going to do this tiny little line. Shows the bump of his lower lip. And then we'll need a great big curve for the chin. And it gets very close to his smile, but doesn't touch it. Then let's go ahead and add this little reverse curve for where his head starts going up. I give myself a couple of lines, erase the ones I don't like. My first line is usually my worst line, so I give myself a couple of different lines and pick the best one. Not everybody draws that way. Some people draw in pen and they only get one shot to get that line right. I like using my eraser though. I like doing pencil. At the end of that line, we've got a little eyebrow. So I'm going to make just a small eyebrow and color it in if you like. We don't want to make it too big because we don't want it to cross the center line, which we haven't actually drawn yet. I should have drawn that first, but we're going to keep it small. Oh, speaking of Nema, there she is. Or maybe you guys didn't hear me when I was talking about Nema, but I was just saying that She has a pretty name and it took me a while to learn how to say it. We'll go ahead and add this line that connects right to the top of the nose. Hi, Nema. If you want to catch up, I will pause right here. Or you can just draw your own thing and enjoy everybody's company. That's fine too. Next, we're going to draw this little oval. Oh. I'm going to draw this little oval here for the eyeball. And eventually he's going to be looking up at Olaf, even though we're not going to draw Olaf today. Olaf will be there someday. So I'm going to go ahead and put a smaller oval, darken it in at the top. And you might have noticed that there's a thicker line. Let me go ahead and zoom in so you can see it better. There's a little bit thicker line on the top of Sven's eyes that make it look a little bit like eyelash. If you want to add that in, you can just thicken up that top line. Tracy's reindeer looks like a man. This could almost be a human still, a very cartoony human, but once we put the antlers on, I think that'll help. Next, we're going to draw this line that separates off that other eye socket. And it's not very far away from the eye we just drew, is it? So let's try to keep those lines close together, but they're wider at the top, more space at the top, less space between the eyes. I'm going to try to do that on my drawing too. And that line actually flows down around his muzzle and almost connects to his chin line. There's just a little bit of space in between. But I can follow that around the mouth, pretend like I'm going to connect it to this line, but don't actually do it. Leave a little space. And next we'll be adding this eyebrow on top. But I want you to look very closely and see that this curve isn't entirely smooth. First we have this straight section, and then we curve, and then another straight section. So even though it looks like a curve at first, I'm going to put a straight line on top there. And then another straight line going a little more down. And it needs to be thick, so I'll have to add those same lines on top. You can color those in if you want. From that eyebrow, we're going to keep going down until we get to about the bottom of that eye we drew earlier. I'm looking at the bottom of that eye. If I took a line across, we're going about that far down. You don't have to draw that guideline if you don't want to. It's just something that might help. And then we need a line on the bottom here. This one's curving, and we can see it's very close to the line that goes around his mouth here. So I can start very close to that line. That's where I want to end up. Here's where I'm starting, and I'll go back and forth and try to get these two to connect. My line is too thick though. Let me thin it down a little bit. I think mine is maybe too wide, isn't it? If you look at mine and you look at the drawing, isn't this one more narrow? And mine's really wide. Oh no, do I crumple up my drawing and throw it away? No, you just get your eraser. It's fine. I'll change it. Change his eyebrow a little bit. Make it look more like my picture that I'm looking at. That's better. Not perfect, but better. Next, we'll be drawing the other eye, and we want to look at how close it is to the bottom line that I just fixed. How close is it to that line? How close is it to that line? One of these is very far away. One's kind of medium and one's very, very close. So do I want to put my eye right here? Probably not, because then there's space on all sides. I don't want that. I want there to be only a tiny bit of space between the bottom. So there's one mark, kind of medium on the side. So there's another mark. And then I want a lot of space from the top. There's another mark. And now I kind of have some connect the dots going here. And now I can put an oval. Yeah.
Can you go a little slower?
Yes, I can. I'm going to pause right here. Right now it's 4:15, so I will pause it until 4:17. I think we have plenty of time for that. If you are already caught up, that would be a good time to sharpen your pencils, get a glass of water, get a snack. We'll keep going at 4:17. All right, 417, I'm just going to add that darker oval near the top, touching the edge of the eye. Oh, he's looking so cute now. And again, if you want to add those eyelashes, you can just make that top line a little bit thicker than the rest of the lines. Whoop, the glare on my camera isn't helping. Let's see if I can angle it. Nope. I should try drawing with something that's not shiny next time. Get out my charcoal pencils. Next, let's fill in his nose. We've got a couple of nostrils to put in. We've got this little center line to put in. We've got this little top line to put in. So let's go ahead and start with the easiest, this little line on the top. And let's go ahead and do this one. And we want to make sure that there's a smaller side and a big side. So I'm not going to put my line here because that makes this part and this part pretty much even. I want to put it closer to the right side. Then we're going to add those nostrils. This one's pretty easy, just a little triangle. Sticks right to the edge of his nose right there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The other one is a little bit like a raindrop. We've got one pointy side and then one rounded side. But this raindrop is a little strange in that it only has one flat side on top and then a curvier side on the bottom. So maybe comparing it to an apple wedge might be closer to that shape. But I want to take a look at making the top a little flat and the bottom curvier, but it ends in a teeny tiny point. We also want these points to kind of point to each other. I don't want to have one down here and then his other nostril up here because that'll look a little bit funny. So if you can get the 2 points to point at each other, that'll make it look extra good. Then we're going to add the rest of his head here, and we're going to just ignore his horns for a moment, his antlers. We're just going to look at this big shape. that connects almost to his chin and comes all the way around to the eyebrow. So let's start from that eyebrow and make a rounded head. Lightly, we'll probably erase some of that later. Then we're going to come down into this big cheek. And we can connect it right back up to the bottom lip really lightly because we know we're going to erase that later, so no point in drawing it dark. You can see how some of my lines were not very accurate. It's a good thing I drew a lot of different lines until it got better, and then I can erase these ones that didn't quite make it. And as you can see, these two lines don't actually touch. So I'm going to take my eraser and just leave that like so. Anybody need a pause here? You can use the thumbs up reaction or unmute yourself. All right, we're gonna pause here then. We'll pause here 1 minute. Oh, not for Natalie. Well, don't worry, it's only a 1 minute pause, so it won't be that long. All right, next we're going to make the neck, and you can see that on the outside it looks like a smooth curve, but we've got a couple of what we call overlapping lines to show that there's some muscles and flesh that are all going into Sven's neck here. So I'm just going to do this top short curve first. There's one. Then we'll take a look at where does the next one start, kind of in the middle of that one we just drew, and it's going to go more down. So I go into the middle of this line and start another one going down. And the last one doesn't quite start in the middle, does it? It's a little closer to the left on the end here, and it's going to go a little more forward. So I'm not going to start here. That would be the middle. I'm going to go down a little more and curve it forward. And next we're going to add his ears. So let's start with this one over here. Where's a clue of where to start this ear? It looks like it's touching the eyebrow and it goes up to a point there. So I'll start from the eyebrow, take my line up in a very small curve. How small? Well, we don't want it to pass the line of his nose. If you drew a line straight up from that end of the nose, the ear shouldn't be bigger than that. I don't know if everybody knows this, so I'm going to do something I do all the time to explain why is this ear small and this ear big. Aren't his ears the same size? My thumbs are the same size, but when I do this, doesn't this one look bigger and this one look smaller? When anything comes closer to our eyes or closer to the camera, it gets big and the other one gets small. So that's what's happening to his ears right now. If my thumbs are his ears, we've got one coming towards us. It's going to be big. The other one's going to be small. So this one we're going to finish off with another line that comes down to his eye. That's the outside shape. And if you want that little line that separates out the pink part from the fur, you can put that little S curve in there. Even though it doesn't look exactly like the letter S, we call it a letter S curve because it curves one way like a frowny face and then turns the other way like a smiley face. Anytime a line does that, we call it an S curve. We artists, meaning everybody in this class, artists, are going to be calling this the S curve. We've got another ear on this side, much bigger. It's still going to start kind of around his eyebrow level. We're going to swoop out past his head. I'm just going to draw it connected to his eyebrow and erase it later because that's easier for me. Swooping out, curving back. And I can just erase that little bit on his head. Kind of looks like a cow right now. You could probably turn him into a cow if you wanted. Or ox for Year of the Ox. We'll keep him as a reindeer though. No ox in Frozen 2 that I know of. One more time, we're going to do that curve that separates the pink part from the fur on top. S curve. Why is it called an S curve? Frowny face, smiley face. That curve switching in the middle. Next up, we are going to draw the fur texture. And there's a little trick with drawing fur, a little tip, not a trick. It's not like mean, a little tip. A lot of times when you're drawing fur on round surfaces, the first one is going to point up and the rest are going to go down. We see it over here too. First one goes up and the rest are going more down his forehead. So let's try that out. We're going to make this first one go up. Little spike of fur right there, go up. And then these other three going to point down, down, down. You can use this trick when you're drawing cats, when you're drawing dogs, when you're drawing rabbits, anything that has fur. First one goes a little bit up and then down, down, down. Because gravity, because science. On the top of his head, we're going to place this little up fur right above his eyebrow. So I don't want to start over here by his ear and go up, down, down, down. That doesn't work. We're going to do it right up here by his eyebrow, kind of like the top. If this was a hill, right at the top of the hill, we'll go up. And the rest, you're going to follow it, going down, down, down. All right, is everybody ready for antlers? No, okay. You need me to pause here for just a minute? I'll go ahead and pause here for a minute. No? Natalie says no. She's ready to go. Either that or she's not ready to draw antlers. Also, Naima, giving a thumbs down. Not ready.
I'm saying no, I don't need a break.
Oh, no, you don't need a break. I shouldn't ask so many questions in a row. Then it's hard to figure out what you're answering. Okay, then. I'm going to go ahead and do the first part, which is just these easy little lines that come right out of his head. Are they going straight up? Nope. Are they the same size? Almost. This one's a little bit longer. This one's a little bit shorter, isn't it? Drawing is a lot about looking at things, comparing things, asking yourself the questions. Is it going straight up and down? Are they the same size? Then we're going to ignore all these little prongs and things sticking off. We're going to look at this big shape. Big shape. What does that look like? Half circle, maybe? Half oval? Crescent moon? How big am I going to make it? Let's look for some clues. This point ends kind of above his eyebrow. So there's his eyebrow. So that's how far it's going to go forward. We don't really know how far it's going to go back. That's okay. I'm going to give it my best guess. Make a big half circle. One way to do it is you hold your pencil far away and then you just wiggle your wrist, not your fingers, your wrist. And you'll get a big curve. You can spin your paper around. You can also find a bowl or a glass if you want to, and you can trace it around. I find that doesn't look quite as good as doing it by yourself, but if you need a little help, everybody uses rulers sometimes or stencils sometimes. No shame in that. I probably made mine too big. That's all right. We'll find out later. Next, we're going to go ahead and make this first little prong. My fur doesn't overlap the way that one does. I kind of disagree with that artistic choice. I think it looks better if the horn or the antler, sorry, not a horn, antler, if the antler overlaps the fur. Because in my mind, this is close to us, fur is in the middle, and then the other one is farther away. So it doesn't really make sense to me why this should go over that antler. Oh, I drew too light. Somebody cannot see. Let me draw a little darker. Even if I can't erase it later, I will sacrifice my drawing in order to teach you. It does look like a letter C. Next, we are going to draw this little prong. Where do we draw it? Well, we know it's not above this one because this one doesn't have anything above it. It's a little bit to the right of that. So here's mine. I need to draw it to the right. Add that prong there. Just erase out that little section. Then we'll follow that antler and go up into another spike. Following, and then I go up. Is it the same size as this one? You can just ask yourself in your mind and answer yourself in your mind. Does this one look bigger or does that one look bigger? After you give yourself an answer, try to draw it that way. If these are looking too spiky, too dangerous, you can just round off the tip. Like safety scissors, right? Round it off at the pointy end. We're going to keep working on this side, so I'm going to follow it up and around the curve, and as it starts to go more up, we'll add another little prong there. I'm going up, up, up. I'll add another little spike, another little prong. I'm going to make mine rounded, like safety scissors. Not so dangerous. And we have one more sticking out the back. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this line and connect it all the way to the top. and then add that one sticking out from the back. I can zoom in on that part in case you need to see it more clearly. You might think, well, wait a minute, how come we erased out this one and we erased out this one, but we're keeping a line in between this prong and the main antler? That's because this line tells us that this part is in front of that part. This one is saying, oh, I'm just on the side so I can see where it connects. But if we leave that line there, that means it's on the back. And you can do that with any of these. If you leave this line, it looks like it's coming out from the back. And then when you erase it, it doesn't look like that anymore. The power of overlapping lines. Last but not least, we have this one that goes in the opposite direction, and the only prong that's on this side. It's underneath that one, after that one though, kind of in between these two. So in between these two somewhere. Go from the bottom and curve it to the outside. And even though Olaf's hand is in the way, we can see that there's a partial overlapping line that comes about halfway down. So when I go to erase it on mine, I'm only going to erase this bottom half. I'll leave this line overlapping, but it won't touch this bottom line. I don't think mine's curvy enough though, is it? Let's make this curvier. Oh, Tracy lost internet. I feel your pain. Sometimes my internet is working great, other days, no way. The good thing is this lesson is turned into a video and put on YouTube, so even if you lose your internet, you can watch it on YouTube later and finish your drawing. All is not lost. Oh, that's good. When you live in the same house, that has some advantages. So for the other antler, because Olaf is blocking a lot of it and we can't see what's going on, we're only going to draw the front part, because that one is only blocked a little bit by his foot. And it's easy to see what it does because we already drew it once. So I'm going to put that short little line going up and that line going forward. We'll make this front prong just like this one. But the second prong, we're going to curve in the opposite direction. This one was curving a little bit to the left, but this one is curving a little bit to the right. So I'm going to curve this one a little bit more this way. And we'll leave it there until we get Olaf in next week. But if you don't want to draw Olaf and you're like, oh, I wanted to just draw the other antler, just follow the one you already drew and you can copy it over here, just flipping around the curves. Or wait until next week when we draw the rest of the antler. But now we're going to go ahead and work on the back and the body here. We're going to ignore all this fur, but oh, do you see something that I see? Up, down, 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 down. I was not lying when I told you that, huh? This is a real thing that happens all the time. So we're going to go ahead and let's start from where? The ear. We're going to come out of the ear. Well, not out of the ear. That sounds a little gross, but we're going to have that line touch the ear, go up, and a little fur tuft. What are those? What are what? This furry bump? It's a bump that a couple of types of deer have. I don't know if reindeers have them or not, but sometimes they'll have like a bump where they store fat because, you know, they got to live in the cold. And when you live in the cold, you got to have more fat so that you don't get cold. That sounded confusing, but hopefully it makes sense. But we're just going to draw it as fur. And just like before, after that one that goes up, all of the rest either go sideways or down. So we can draw one sideways, and then all the rest are going to point down, down, down. I'm not even going to bother trying to copy these exactly because I already know the rhythm. So I can make it my own and do my own kind of fur. You can make them different sizes too. You can see this one started to get real big. You can put some chunky ones in there if you want. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Try to make it easier to see. Then we're going to have a line that goes down the back and then flat and then down again. So somewhere from your fur, you're going to go down a little bit. Then we're going to go flat across. And then down again. For Sven's back. And we have just about 4 minutes left. So I think we can go ahead and draw his harness and then share our work. For the harness, we're going to start at that ear again, and we're going to come down and down. Not exactly a curve, is it? It's more like 2 straight lines. One going that way from his ear and then down. Whoops, I didn't add this little piece of hair yet. I'll do that right now. Actually, I don't like that piece of hair. I'm not going to do it. You can do it if you like it, but I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm just going to draw the other side of the strap. We'll do that again over here. We have 2 lines coming down. And then we'll be doing this pattern, which is a series of lines zigzagging, aren't they? We just go zig, then zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, all the way down. I'm going to do that on mine over here. Zig and a zag, zig and a zag. When I do the other side, I want to make sure that these points point at one another. So if I pick a point and make that little angle point right towards there, it kind of makes a diamond in the middle. So anytime there's a point, I'm going to try to have my zigzag lines go up to that point and away from that point, up to that point, away, towards, away, towards, and away. We'll have 1 more minute to add any other detail lines you want to add. You might add some of these necklines to show muscles. You might add some more fluffy fur somewhere. You might just fix some of your lines like I'm going to do. All righty. I think it's about time to see this lovely herd of reindeer. If you are ready to show your work, go ahead and hold it up to the camera and I will go ahead and spotlight you for everyone. Whoa, my light makes this look so angelic. Ah. Nobody's ready to show yet? Oh, Callista is. I'm going to spotlight Callista for everyone. Oh, look at that cute headband. You must have a whole collection of cute headbands. Let's see. Oh, look how good. Oh, I love those antlers. Look how big they are. Whoa, very nice. And everybody kept it on the paper so far. That's a win in itself.
But not centered.
We can always draw more body on the other side. We'll put some trees or something back there. And who else is ready? Natalie's not ready? Oh, she is ready. Let's replace the spotlight. Whoa, I like it. Look at those harness straps. So nicely done. Excellent. What about Tracy's? No? There we go. Very nice. Everybody's getting such good looking reindeer. Oh, and Nama's is up too. Let me replace the spotlight. Can you back it up just a little bit? There we go. Oh, look at that. You even drew a bird in there too. I love it when you guys put in your little bonus ideas. And what about Frank? Whoa, another nice set of antlers. Super clean. Lots of space for Olaf for next week. Of course, if you lose your drawing or somebody comes that wasn't here today and they don't have a Sven to put their Olaf on, we'll just draw him plain in the snow. But yeah, good job, everybody. Thanks for drawing with me today, and I hope to see you all next time when we add Olaf. Bye.